Hi everyone, Jenny here, home educating mum to 6, and welcome to my channel. This is the second in a series of videos I'll be doing to help you get started home educating, or just to give you a bit more of an idea of what is involved if you've not quite made the decision. The first video I did, I'll link to the description below if you haven't seen it, was about the legalities surrounding home education, particularly in England and the UK. Today I'll be talking about what next. So you've made the decision that you are going to home educate, covered the legal requirements, you may have already written to your school or just decided that you won't enroll your preschool age child into school. So what next? The first thing to keep in mind is that home education is not school at home. So what I mean by that is, while your children will learn at home and can gain a great education at home, you do not have to recreate school at home. One of my big mistakes was to try and do that in those first days and try to be extremely structured and try to fit in so many subjects from 9 o'clock in the morning till 3 in the afternoon, and it just, for me at least, did not work, and I felt like I was really failing. You don't have to do that in order to give your child a great education. You also do not have to be a teacher. I learnt all of these things the hard way. I tried to match up to school and wasn't able to do that, of course not, because it isn't school at home. You may feel extremely daunted by the great responsibility, and it is a great responsibility. But guess what? Your child learnt to walk and talk, dress themselves, all the things that they do, and they did that under your direction. You don't need to be a teacher for that either. All that home education is to continue that nurturing in the home and that facilitation of learning. The most important thing is that you are able to learn alongside your child, and they will learn from you and with you. There is nothing like having a parent who has their learning as a priority rather than them being just a number in a classroom. Now, that doesn't mean that people don't do very well in school, but it's also true that not everybody does fantastically in school and has the most wonderful experience. So don't compare yourself to school, because school has its ups and downs, isn't perfect for everybody. There are many home educating children who are home educating now because of bad experiences in the school system. Another thing that people concern themselves with is socialization. They think that their child, well, if they're not in a classroom of children all the same age as them, how will they socialize? One of the main things I really highly encourage you to do is to get on Facebook and search up home education in your local area, and you will find that there are loads of groups out there. Introduce yourself on there and people will be really friendly. You can ask questions to experienced home educators and you will find loads of support in that way, and groups where your children can socialise. They'll be socialising with you anyway. If you go out shopping, if you go to the library, or if you're going out on field trips, your children are always going to be socialising with you and with the people that they meet, and not just children of their same age, but people of all ages, children of all ages. A lot of these home education classes or clubs or meetups have a variety of children of many ages, and in a way that is much more natural, isn't it? When we leave school, you don't just mix with people in your same age group, you mix with all sorts of people within the family. You mix with your siblings who are older and younger than you, and in the world it's the same thing. The next thing that a lot of home educators do is they do something that is called deschooling. So what is deschooling? Deschooling is basically, it's that transition from being in the school system to learning at home. They give the child time to explore their interests and get out of the mindset of school and get used to the idea that your child is going to be learning from home. So what does that look like? It varies from family to family. It might just, for me, we finished, when I decided to pull out my children, we finished the school year and we had the summer holidays, and for us that worked. That was our deschooling time. Other people may take a bit longer, and it was just time for them to just relax, be at home, get used to the idea of learning at home, but it was a much more relaxed way, and just find out what they might be interested in. Have a look at books, look online at different resources, watch documentaries, go on field trips, maybe they could start a journal, whatever suits them and you. And it gives you that breathing space also to figure out what works. Maybe you might look into some online courses or some correspondence courses that might suit them, or find some textbooks that you like. Just give yourself time to see how you're going to go about teaching them, but without feeling that pressure to start doing it in any particular way straight away. So once you've had that period of deschooling and you've got used to being at home and the idea of it, and maybe you've had a chance to find various home ed groups in your area, your child has expressed an interest in various topics perhaps, you might want to start thinking about what style of learning will suit you. Again, it's different for everyone. There are families that follow a very structured homeschooling style. They might have a timetable. This is what I tried to do at the beginning. It didn't work entirely for me, although I do lean more towards structure. Some people do full online schooling, just like school, but at home in live Zoom classes. That would be very structured. Or again, you may just structure it yourself at home, give them a bit of a timetable, say, let's do a bit of English, let's do a bit of maths, cover some science topics, history, whatever. So you could follow a very structured way. Other people right down the other end of the spectrum follow what is called unschooling, which is a completely unstructured way. It's child-led, and they just look at what the child's interests are and tailor their learning around the child's interests. So if the child is interested in marine biology or shows an interest in volcanoes or whatever it is, nights, they'll then be led by that and study topics around that: writing, art, reading, field trips. It'll lead you into other directions as well. So you might start with, again, the example of you might have a son that's interested in knights. Then you could end up reading about King Arthur. You might go on a field trip to a castle. That will lead to some history about a certain period of time, certain kings, what happened with them. So you just go with where the child leads you. That works really well for some people and really suits them. And in the middle, you can have a sort of a semi-structured approach, is kind of what I follow. So I do like a bit of structure for my personality. It helps me, especially with having 6 children. I need to have some sort of organisation. So I have a loose timetable, I have an idea of what all my children are doing. I do a lot of outsourcing of online classes for my older children. With the younger ones, I'm directly involved. They cover the various subjects, but again, it's not a strict timetable. They take as long as they need for each subject. If they're interested in something, if it leads to another subject, we might be led by one of the children to go and find out something else. So we do a little bit of both. We do have structure, but I do let the children sort of lead us in various directions, sometimes within reason. I mean, some people follow Montessori styles. You might be interested in that, and you could go, again, the internet is just a wealth of information. Charlotte Mason approach is another way that people like to structure their schooling. Something to look into, and that's very much, it was a teacher at the turn of the century in England who was very focused on something called living books, nature studies, narration, which is a very old school sort of learning from good literature, reading it and then being able to relay it. So that's a verbal thing, a verbal communication. Later on it goes into writing, so narrating the stories, showing that you comprehend, but also learning how to structure your writing from good living books. So that might be something that suits you. I will provide links below for all these different styles that I have suggested, or at least I'll list them so you can go further and afield and look into them if you want to. So there's the very structured approach, there's a semi-structured approach, there's unschooling. You might use the styles of Charlotte Mason, Montessori, and there are many others out there. All you have to do is Google, look up YouTube and find out home education styles, and you'll find lots of things. There are many families that just use a mixed structure, so they'll use a mix of different things. They might use a little bit of Charlotte Mason style study along with some Montessori type works, along with some just structured textbooks of maths, online maths classes. It doesn't have to cost a fortune either. That's something really important to explain as well. And I will probably do another video going into the equipment you need. But briefly, as long as you have a device, which most of us have, even if it's just a phone, you can look up so many things on your phone. There are free online, there are entire online courses on there. You can access libraries. Shops like The Works are fantastic for affordable resources. Supermarkets are great for cheap stationery. Amazon, eBay, charity shops. So there are so many things you can try. I hope I haven't overwhelmed you. That is something that can happen. There is so much out there, and I think this is something that I have when I've spoken to actual teachers, they say the same. There is so much information out there that sometimes it can be overwhelming to actually decide what you are going to teach, because there's so much there. Another thing that people do is, even though you do not need to follow the national curriculum is available online at the .gov website, and you might want to use it as a guideline. If your local authority is aware of you homeschooling because you've had to pull your child out of school, the things that make it easier for you to show that you are providing a suitable education that's age appropriate, the main things would be to show literacy and numeracy plans. You don't even need to show them work, but it would be easier if you said, we're using this maths curriculum, or we're using this maths course or textbooks or whatever. We're covering these aspects of maths at this age, and we're covering reading and writing in this way, and we're looking into topics through field trips, groups, whatever, reading. And if you're able to just sort of explain all these things, and many times just day to day, even just day to day life, you can cover so much. If you baked a cake with your children, you've done maths, you've done life skills, you may have been weighing things, measuring things. That could be incorporated into writing skills. They could write down their recipe. So yes, I hope that's given you lots of ideas. I hope I haven't gone on too many tangents. We all have the mental hurdles. Use the support group that is out there. Like I say, Facebook is a great start to meet local groups, and then go out and meet them in real life. But it's a great place to ask questions of other experienced home educators. Spend some time deschooling. I do recommend that. See what suits you and your child, and try and use some of the many resources that are out there. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments below. I'll be more than happy to answer you. I'll put all the pertinent links in the description below. And if you liked this and you want to hear more, subscribe. And I hope to see you in the next video, and happy homeschooling.